Hey everyone, welcome back. So happy you're here. I'm Corey.
And I'm Sharon. And today we're talking about something that, honestly, I think a lot of people have been thinking about lately, but maybe haven't quite had the conversation out loud yet.
Yes, we're going to talk about AI, and specifically, this very real, very human fear that a lot of people are carrying right now, the fear of losing their job to artificial intelligence.
And spoiler, we're not going to just tell you, don't worry about it, because I think that's a bit dismissive. But we are going to give you some perspective that we hope is actually useful.
Let's get into it. Okay, so can I tell you what actually started this whole conversation for us?
Please?
So I was on my phone on Sunday, just scrolling, the usual Sunday afternoon procrastination situation.
Very productive use of time.
Extremely productive. And I came across this article. The headline was something like, "Is your job next?" And then it had this big list, like a list of jobs that AI is already starting to do. And I read through it and I don't know, I felt this little wave of anxiety, even though I knew it was clickbaity, even though I knew it was designed to make me feel exactly that way.
It still got you.
It still got me. And I think that says something. Because I'm not someone who is like particularly anxious about technology. I like new things. I adapt pretty well. But something about that list just hit differently.
What was on it?
Oh, the classics. Customer service, data entry, translation, copywriting, graphic design, basic coding. And honestly, some of those I expected.
Wait, people I know do that. My friends do that. That's the thing, isn't it? It stops being abstract when it's personal.
Exactly. And actually, my friend Maya, she's been freelancing as a content writer for about 3 years. And she told me last month that 2 of her long-term clients dropped her. Not because they were unhappy with her work, but because they'd switched to using AI tools for their content.
Ouch.
Yeah, and Maya's good at what she does. She's thoughtful, she's creative, and she's sitting there wondering, what do I do now?
And she's not alone in that. I've been thinking about it from my own side, actually. I work in publishing, as you know, translation, editing, and the conversation around AI translation has been going on in that industry for a while. Machine translation has improved enormously in the last few years. It's not perfect, but it's getting closer, and you feel it.
So this is real, is what we're saying. This isn't just online panic.
No, it's real. And I think the first step before we can talk about perspective or optimism is to just acknowledge that. The fear is legitimate. Okay, so let's actually look at it. What is AI doing well right now? Like, what has it genuinely gotten good at?
Right. So AI has become very good at tasks that follow patterns, things where there's a lot of existing data to learn from, and where the output can be evaluated relatively clearly.
Drafting text, generating images, translating language, writing code, especially repetitive code, summarizing documents, answering questions from a database. All of this.
And those aren't small things. Those are jobs that real people do.
Exactly. And I think the honest answer is yes, some of those roles are going to change significantly. Some will shrink, some will require fewer people to do the same amount of work.
Which is kind of terrifying when you say it like that.
It is. And I want to be careful not to just wave it away and say, oh, but new jobs will appear. Because while that's historically true, and we will get to that, it doesn't help someone like your friend Maya right now. Change that happens at the industry level still lands on individual people, and that's hard.
Right, like the economy will adapt is a very cold comfort when you've just lost a client.
Exactly. And the psychological weight of it is real too. When your job feels under threat, it's not just about money, it's about identity. A lot of people's sense of purpose and self-worth is connected to what they do for work.
Right, like if someone's been a writer their whole career and suddenly they feel like a machine can do it better, that's not just a career problem, that's an identity crisis.
And I think that's why this conversation matters. Because we can give people information all day, but the emotional piece, the fear, the uncertainty, the what does this mean for me, that needs to be acknowledged first.
Okay, so we've acknowledged it, the fear is real. Now can we talk about the other side?
Yes, now we can.
All right, because here's the thing. I spent some time after reading that article actually thinking about this, and I started making a mental list of things that I genuinely believe AI cannot do. Not just not yet, but things that are fundamentally human.
Let's hear it.
Okay, number 1, and this is the big one for me, real human connection. Like the kind of connection where someone looks you in the eye and actually sees you, where someone holds space for you when you're falling apart. I don't care how good the chatbot is, it is not the same as a friend who shows up at your door with food when you've had a terrible week.
That's a good one. And it's not just emotional support, it extends into so many professional contexts too. A doctor who can read the room, a teacher who notices that one kid in the corner who's struggling, a manager who knows when their team member is burning out before it becomes a crisis. That kind of reading between the lines, it requires lived human experience. AI is pattern recognition at scale, but that's very different from genuine understanding.
Yes. Okay, number 2 for my list. Creative work that comes from actual life experience. AI can generate, it can remix, it can produce things that look creative, but it hasn't lived. It hasn't had its heart broken. It hasn't moved to a new city and been terrified and lonely and slowly found its people. And that lived experience, that's what makes the best art, the best writing, the best storytelling resonate.
I'd agree with that. And I'd add, AI lacks context in a very specific way. It doesn't know your company culture. It doesn't know the dynamic between two people in a meeting. It doesn't know that the client you're dealing with is having a difficult time personally and needs to be handled with extra care this week. All of that invisible contextual knowledge, that's deeply human.
Oh, that's such a good point. Like the soft stuff, the stuff that never makes it into a job description.
Exactly. And then there's physical presence. AI cannot do the things that require a body and hands and being somewhere. A plumber, an electrician, a nurse doing hands-on care, a chef creating something in a real kitchen. These aren't going anywhere. And honestly, these are also going to become more valued, not less, precisely because they can't be automated.
That's a really interesting flip. Like, suddenly those traditional jobs that maybe didn't get a lot of prestige are actually the most secure.
And AI cannot take moral responsibility. This is a big one. If an AI makes a wrong decision in a medical context, who's accountable? The company? The hospital? The developer? We haven't figured that out. But a human doctor, a human lawyer, a human judge, they can be held accountable. And in a world where accountability matters, and it always will, you need humans in the loop.
Okay, I love all of this, and I want to add one more. Humor. Real humor. Like, not, haha, that's a clever pun humor, but the humor that comes from really knowing someone. The inside joke. The perfectly timed thing you say that makes your best friend laugh until they cry. AI can write jokes, but it cannot truly be funny with someone. That requires genuine relationship.
I will accept that. Yes, comedy at its best is deeply human. Timing, subversion, shared understanding. AI is still quite bad at that.
It's very bad at it. I've tried.
Yes, well, the bar for AI humor is low.
Right? Why did the robot cross the road? To get to the other algorithm. I don't know, Charon. I don't know.
The historical perspective. Okay, so let me add some historical perspective here because I think it's actually genuinely helpful if we use it honestly.
Go for it.
Every major technological revolution in history has caused job displacement, every single one. The printing press displaced scribes. The Industrial Revolution displaced artisans. Automation displaced assembly line workers. The internet displaced travel agents, video rental stores, a lot of newspaper journalists.
That's a big list.
It is. And in each case, new jobs emerged that didn't exist before, roles that no one could have predicted. The internet didn't just destroy jobs, it created the entire tech industry, social media management, UX design, content creation as a profession, e-commerce logistics, millions of new roles.
Right, like YouTuber wasn't a job in 2001.
Exactly. And I think AI will do the same. It's already doing it. Prompt engineering, AI training and oversight, AI ethics and governance, human AI collaboration specialists. These are new roles that didn't exist 5 years ago.
And I want to push back on this a little because I think it's important. The difference this time feels bigger, doesn't it? Like AI isn't just automating physical labor, it's automating cognitive work, the stuff that we always thought was uniquely human.
That's a fair pushback, and I won't pretend the scale isn't significant. This is a bigger shift than most previous ones. The speed of it is also different. Things are changing very fast, and that makes adaptation harder
because you need time to retrain, to pivot, to find your footing.
So the optimism isn't, don't worry, everything will be fine.
No. The optimism, if we're being honest about it, is more like, this is hard, the change is real, and there are things you can do to position yourself well, and there are things about you that a machine cannot replace. Both of those things are true at once.
I like that framing. It's not naive, it's just complete.
Okay, so let's talk about the what can I do piece, because I think that's where a lot of people are right now. They're not just scared in the abstract, they're asking, practically, what do I focus on?
Right. So I think there are a few categories here. Learn to work with AI. This sounds obvious, but it matters. The people who are going to be most at risk are the ones who refuse to engage with these tools at all. Because the reality is, AI isn't replacing most people. Someone who uses AI well is replacing people who don't. How do I use this tool effectively? How do I work alongside it rather than against it?
Yeah, and I think this is actually less scary than it sounds. Like, when spreadsheets came along, they changed accounting, but accountants who learned to use spreadsheets became more efficient, not replaced.
Exactly. The tool changes the job. It doesn't necessarily end the job.
What else?
Second, and this comes back to what we were saying earlier, invest in the things AI cannot replicate. Your communication skills, your ability to build relationships, your emotional intelligence, your capacity to lead, to mentor, to inspire people. These things are becoming more valuable, not less, precisely because they're hard to automate.
And critical thinking too, right? Like, AI can produce a lot, but someone still needs to evaluate whether what it's producing is actually good, whether it's accurate, whether it's appropriate for this specific situation.
100%. And that's actually a skill gap that's emerging right now. A lot of people are using AI outputs uncritically. They're just taking what it gives them and putting it out there. And the people who can evaluate intelligently, who can push back, improve, verify, they're actually more in demand, not less.
Okay, that makes me feel better about reading and thinking carefully. Like, those habits are more useful than ever.
Genuinely. Deep expertise also matters more than it used to. If you know your field really, really well, the history of it, the nuances, the edge cases that don't show up in training data, that knowledge is something AI struggles to replicate. It's good at the surface level. It's less good at the deep end.
So go deep. Don't be a generalist who can be replaced by a chatbot. Be the expert that the chatbot has to come to.
That's a good way to put it. The emotional piece.
I want to go back to the emotional side for a second, because I think even if you understand everything we've just talked about, even if you know, logically, that there are things AI can't do, and that you can adapt, and that history says this works out, the fear is still there, in your gut, and I think it's important to talk about that.
Yes, because knowledge doesn't automatically dissolve anxiety. That's not how anxiety works.
Exactly. And I've been thinking about, okay, what actually helps? Not just intellectually, but emotionally.
What did you come up with?
I think the first thing is stay in the present. Like, so much of the fear about AI and jobs is happening in this hypothetical future. What if in 3 years? What if by 2030? And meanwhile, your actual job today is probably still there. The catastrophizing about the future takes you out of the present, where you can actually do something.
That's genuinely useful. And connected to that, I think it helps to focus on what you can control. You can't control what your industry decides to do, but you can control your skills, your relationships, your adaptability. Put your energy there.
And community. I think the worst thing about this kind of fear is when you carry it alone. If you're worried about your job, talk to people in your field. Find out what others are doing. How are they adapting? What are they learning? You'd be surprised how much clarity comes just from having that conversation with someone who's in the same boat.
That's true. There's something about shared uncertainty that's actually less terrifying than private uncertainty.
Yes. And one more thing, and this is maybe the most important one for me. Remember that being human is not a disadvantage. We've spent so much time measuring ourselves against machines. Oh, the AI is faster, the AI can write more, the AI doesn't sleep. But we're not machines. We're not supposed to be. And the things that make us human, our emotions, our relationships, our imperfection, our growth, those are not bugs. Those are the whole point.
That's actually quite good, Corey.
Don't sound so surprised.
I'm not surprised. I'm just quietly impressed.
That's the most British compliment I've ever received, and I'll take it.
You should. I don't give them out often.
Okay, so if we had to wrap this up, what are you taking away from today, Sharon?
I think the fear is legitimate, and we shouldn't dismiss it. But the response to fear doesn't have to be paralysis. It can be, okay, what do I do with this? And the answer involves learning, deepening, connecting, and trusting the things that make you human.
I love that. For me, I'm thinking about Maya, and I want to tell her, your instinct for people, your ability to find the story that actually matters, the way you write in a voice that sounds like a real person, that's what AI can't do. And there are people who need exactly that. She just needs to find them, and she will. She will. Thank you so much for listening today. If this conversation made you think or made you feel a little less alone with something you've been carrying, that genuinely means a lot to us.
We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Are you worried about AI and your job? Have you found ways to adapt? Tell us. We're curious.
And if this helped your English practice, a like really does make a difference for us. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
Cheers.